Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to take some time to answer a question that came in quite a while ago in one of my live chats. And up until now, I've just forgotten to get to it. I wanted to get to it, but just keeps slipping my mind. So I want to answer it tonight here on my show. I did answer it in the live chat too. The question that came in during that live chat was, do you think that guns and religion are a good mix? Or do you think people that are religious zealots shouldn't be allowed to have firearms? Now, I know why the person is asking me this question. I'm not a big fan of religion, not a religious person. Don't believe in magic genies in the sky or anything like that. So they wanted to know my opinion of this. Well, like I said, not a fan of religion. I found that throughout history, religion has done very little more than hold us back. So never been a big fan of it. I think it's more often used to discriminate than it is to educate, more often used to control than it is to enlighten. So never been a huge fan of it. Now, of course, how you utilize your religion, how you live your life can be totally different than that, but as a whole, not a fan. So I know where they're coming from with this, why they're asking me this. But my answer to this is, of course, guns and religion mix. I think every Christian should exercise their Second Amendment right. They should own guns. They should be prepared in case they ever have to be called up to defend their nation or to defend their democracy against threats foreign or domestic. I think every Christian should. I think every non-Christian should. Every atheist. I also think every Muslim in America should exercise their Second Amendment rights. That might be a little, controversial to some people. I also think every Buddhist should exercise their First Amendment rights as well as their Second Amendment rights. I think everyone should be able to exercise their religious rights, exercise their gun rights, and I think those two things go together. I don't see a problem with it. And the reason I don't see a problem with it is because it's just the way it's supposed to be. You know, you don't get to decide who gets to exercise their rights and who doesn't. When we start playing guns are for everybody and the Second Amendment is for everybody except of course for these people that we don't like or agree with. Well, that's not American. That doesn't follow the plan of the Founding Fathers as far as I'm concerned. And I know a lot of people will say, well, they didn't let black people have guns. Well, that's a different thing, but let's not judge them on the foibles of the time. Let's actually look at it as who are American citizens now. Whoever they considered American citizens back in the time, they wanted these people to have these rights. So if you're an American citizen now, you have these rights. And like I said, that includes people of all colors, people of all religions, etc. And I don't think that I should have a right to say who does or who doesn't get a firearm. It's for everyone. Like I said, that's FUD stuff. That's what FUDs do. They say, well, of course I think everyone should have a gun. Well, except for maybe people that have committed this type of crime or that type of crime, or people I don't like the looks of, or people that are shifty, and they should have any gun they want except, maybe not ARs, because I don't own ARs, so I don't need them, blah, blah, blah. It's that whole game of deciding who should have something and what they should have that I'm totally against. So even though I'm not a fan of religion, and I'm not a fan of religious people in general, I still think they have every right the Constitution grants them. It's a First Amendment right to practice whatever religion you want, and it's your Second Amendment right to be armed. And yes, I know a lot of people have done a lot of nasty things in the name of religion in the past. A lot of people do a lot of good things in the name of their religion also. But that doesn't mean I get to sit back and decide or pass judgment on them. That's not what this is about. That's not what the Second Amendment's about. It's quite the contrary. That's why I'm a firm believer. I use the same reasoning to say, if someone isn't in prison, I don't care if they're an ex-felon. If they've been in prison and now they're safe to be out, they are a citizen again and they get their Second Amendment rights. Same thing with religious people or non-religious people or people in general. I don't want to start deciding what groups get this and what groups get that. As much as I would love to rule the world and make all the decisions like that, there's a good reason why I don't. Because I would discriminate. And that's not what the Second Amendment is about. No person should be deciding that another group of people shouldn't have guns. And here's the thing. Just because someone believes one thing or another, it doesn't make them more likely, I don't think, to misuse a firearm. Never seen any evidence of that. Of course, you can look overseas and see these religious-run countries where Al-Qaeda and these other religious-based groups are very violent. But that's not because they have guns. That's just because they live in a very violent extremist place with very violent extremist religion. And if they come here to this country, well, they could have a gun if they're a citizen. And if they decide to do something violent and extremist with it, we deal with them as an individual. We don't label their group as bad and say, well, the group can't have guns because there's so many of these people in that group. Because when you start doing that, it's really easy to pull bad examples out of every group and say, okay, well, these people were this religion and so we can't let them have guns anymore. Or these people believed in this particular political ideology. And they did something heinous, so we can't let them have guns anymore. There is a certain inherent risk to freedom. And in this country, we are free. And that includes religious people, non-religious people, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, whatever you are. If you are a free U.S. citizen, guns mix with you perfectly as far as I'm concerned. As long as you're not criminally insane, adjudicated or in prison, you should be able to exercise your Second Amendment rights. And does that mean I love seeing every person that has a gun? There are people I see online every day that have gun channels that I cringe when I see them with a gun in their hand, simply because of the other things they say or do. But that's part of the risk. Everyone in this country is free to exercise their Second Amendment right. And we shouldn't start putting qualifiers on that, period. No matter what category it is. So if you come to me and say, should these people be able to carry? I'm going to say, are they in prison? Have they been mentally adjudicated? Well, then great. They all should carry. And that's going to be with every group you bring to me. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. And you can make a case that some groups are dangerous. You might be able to make that case to me. You might be able to point out a lot of data to me that I've never seen before that makes me go, oh, Shriners are crazy when they get guns in their hands. But I'm still going to say, but they can still have them until they do something crazy, and then we'll deal with those individuals. Because that's the risk of freedom. That's just the way it is in this country. It's not a nanny state. If we started giving away all of our freedoms to be safe, well, then we wouldn't be free or safe. So to answer the question, do guns and religion mix? Of course they do. Does every religious person mix with guns? Well, they have a right to. Does that mean they're going to do the right thing with them? Maybe not. Is every non-religious person going to do the right thing with guns? Maybe not, but we'll deal with them, not the group they come from. So in the end, everybody and guns mix as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're an American citizen and they're not adjudicated or incarcerated. All right, everybody, now I want to move on to my favorite part of the show, as everyone already knows, and that is gun talk. And today I want to answer a question that came from a viewer after they saw I bought a new Derringer. They asked me, are Derringers actually good for anything? Do they serve a purpose these days, or are they just around because of nostalgia? Well, I thought I would take some time today to answer that question and show you the Derringer that I bought. And here's the one I just picked up. It is, as you can see, a Bond Arms Derringer, and it is their little rough finish gun. It's the little roughneck in the short barrel, 357 Magnum and 38 Special. Now, I know the first thing you're going to notice probably is that this gun, the barrel isn't much longer than the round, and that's true. But this is an up-close and personal gun, and a great thing about these guns is they do have uses. They're not as useless as you might think. They're not as impractical as you might think. This gun is very small, and not only is it very small, you don't have to worry about negligent discharges in this gun. It's a single-action only gun, got 2 rounds. You have to cock the hammer. So if you're going to keep a gun like in your purse, or stashed in the armrest of your car or something like that, that you can just reach for quickly in an emergency situation, like someone rushes up to your car window and tries to break it, or crowd mobs your car, and you don't want to have to try to get your holster, your gun out of your holster on your waist. This could be something you could grab quickly as a little time saver to give you more time to get out your regular carry gun. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm carrying in my car, my carry gun where I carry at 330 is not the most accessible gun. This, in my armrest, would be something I could grab immediately 2 shots of 357 Magnum are probably going to discourage whoever's trying to get in my car and give me time to get to my regular everyday carry gun. So they're not useless, but there's also other uses for them. Another great use for this gun is that you can fill it with snake shot, and it's an awesome little snake gun. If you're going to be out on trails, like you live somewhere in Arizona or Australia where everything is bitey or stingy and will kill you, a great little thing to pack along to have for those pesky little varmints like snakes and such. These guns are really easy to load and to unload. You just pop that up. Right there's the 2 cylinders, and there's a little ejector right there. It pops up automatically when you do that to push the rounds forward, and you just put 2 more rounds in it and you're ready to go. So very quick reloading gun, very simple gun. You can also buy different size barrels here. You can get longer ones like 4-inch, whatever, and they'll still go on this same frame. So kind of a versatile little gun. And like I said, not as useless as you might think. A Derringer does have its place in the world. Is it as a primary EDC? Well, if you had no other options, this would definitely serve you. A lot of people might say, I would rather have this in a pocket holster and have 2 shots of 357 Magnum for some up close and personal defense than I would have 5 or 6 shots of 380 or 32. So maybe it is good for your personal defense gun if you go out and you only want something big enough to put in a pocket. But I would say its biggest uses are, like I said, a gun that you can grab quickly to buy you some time, or a snake deterrent. So as you can see, not a useless gun, and also kind of a cool gun with a lot of history. So there's something I suggest everyone who really loves guns, pick one up, try it, have one around, because like I said, they're fun and not that impractical. So as you can see, Derringers are cool and they are nostalgic, but they're not useless. They may not be the optimal gun for anything, but there are some places where a Derringer can come in very handy and can serve you very well. So if a Derringer is something you want to get one just because you want one. But if you do have one and you have to have a use for it, there are some things that I think Derringers are great at. All right, everybody, I want to end the show today, as usual, with our viewer EDC. And today we have Lucy Gerard. No relation to Gil Gerard, I'm told, which is quite disappointing. But Lucy's carrying her SIG P220 in a DIY inside the waistband Kite X holster. And as you can see, she is carrying it in the appendix position. Now, I am not a fan of this, but I know a lot of young ladies out there think that they can get away with this simply because they're smooth down there. You know, they don't have external genitalia. It's all on the inside. So they think, well, it's safe for me to carry then because I'm not going to blow my junk off. Might give myself some chapped lips, but that's about it. But I hate to remind you, you do have a femoral artery, and that gun is quite often pointed at it. So I always tell people, use extra caution when you decide to carry this way. At least you're carrying a double action, single action gun instead of a striker fired gun. So it's not as dangerous as it could be. But, you know, I'm still not thrilled when I see people carry this way, even if they are a young lady. So I would say, wait, hold on. You sure? With that tiny waist and those childbearing hips? All right, if you say so. I've just been informed by my producer that it is not Lucy Gerard, it is Luke Gerard, which means he is, I guess, a man. So I'm going to have to take back everything I just said and change it all to, you're going to shoot your dick off, quit carrying this way. But I guess that is still our concealed carry. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm also being told that I don't have a producer and I'm not wearing an earpiece. But that all being said, that's our viewer EDC of the day. Luke Gerard with his SIG P220 in an inside waistband Kite X holster appendix position. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back Monday. We'll be back again Monday with a new set of shows, so I'll see you then, hopefully. And until then, I'll sign off by saying, as usual, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, you know, it is what it is. But if we keep our heads about us and we act like mature adult people, and we don't allow ourselves to be frightened and manipulated by the fearmongers and the profiteers, what things will be in the future, especially for the gun community, is a lot better. Damn it, I am a grown-ass man.